Welcome to the New York State Seal of Biliteracy Guidance Toolkit, Module Number 3. This toolkit represents a collaboration between NYSSB and the Mid-State and Midwest Arborns to support schools in beginning the process of implementation of the Seal of Biliteracy. The modules contained in this toolkit are designed as a self-guiding process for individual schools or those who wish to work together in a consortium. They can be viewed in a sequence or individually to brush up on a particular topic. Each module consists of an agenda, a PowerPoint, and various supporting documentation and exemplars. Schools are encouraged to use these documents for their promotional materials as well as for internal and external communications. The entire toolkit is available online on the OBEWL Seal of Biliteracy website. My name is Candace Black, and I will be your guide for this module. Module 3, Planning for the Culminating Project and Promoting the SEAL Program, provides an overview of the Culminating Project and ways to promote the SEAL in school communities. For more information on starting a SEAL of Biliteracy program at your school or for any questions regarding the SEAL, please contact me at candace.black@nyssb.gov. Let's start with the module objectives. By the end of this module, participants will be able to do the following. State 2 ways to promote the SEAL of Biliteracy program with students and families, describe the role of the advisor, and understand the criteria of the culminating project and presentation. This last item will include the development of a description of your school's project, reviewing a sample rubric and beginning to develop a rubric for your own school, and planning the logistics of the panel presentation. Let's now review the homework from Module 2. Did your SEAL of Biliteracy Committee accomplish the following? Schedule the Board of Education presentation, plan for faculty outreach, finalize the implementation plan, and finalize the notification form. If you are working with a consortium or a group of schools, please stop the recording to share any helpful hints or challenges you encountered in completing these tasks. For a warm-up, let's think about the SEAL of Biliteracy implementation process so far. Look over the following 20 emojis. Pick an emoji that best describes how you feel about the implementation process for the SEAL so far. Be prepared to explain your choice. Please stop the recording so that participants can consider and then share their choice. In the last module, we talked about how schools could plan to promote the SEAL of Biliteracy within the school community. Some examples of this may include providing an update to the Board of Education, planning for faculty outreach, sharing a finalized implementation plan, and completing the notification form with your SEAL of Biliteracy committee. Please stop the recording and share with the group what your SEAL of Biliteracy committee did. Reviewing the suggested timeline, we are now continuing in the planning stage, but also beginning to consider tasks to be completed in the implementation stage. There are many ways to share information about the SEAL of Biliteracy with students and families. We've gathered several examples here for you on this slide. First is advertising the SEAL in the school building, as you can see in these photos from James Monroe High School on the right. You may also consider creating an informational video, similar to the one that is linked here from Webster Central School District. At the end of this slide, we encourage you to go to the agenda and click on the link to watch this video. You may also consider hosting student interest meetings where students can come to learn more about the process. Schools have also found success in presenting the SEAL of Biliteracy in World Language, ELA, and ENL classes. Finally, we recommend administering self-assessments to students so that they can self-identify as SEAL of Biliteracy candidates, similar to the example that you can click on from South Jefferson Central School District. Please stop the recording and explore the links for these resources that are on the agenda for this module. Some additional tips and tools include determining which students are eligible for the SEAL and sending them an invitation to apply, sending letters or emails home to families, such as the parent letter provided here, which is available in 7 different languages on the module website, presenting at a parent-teacher organization meeting, and including information about the SEAL in a school newsletter or website. Please see the example here by Gates-Chili Central School District. You're encouraged to stop the recording and to click on the link which is available on the agenda for this module. The opportunity for students to earn the Seal of Biliteracy should be shared with all stakeholders: students, parents and families, building level faculty and administrators, district level administrators, school board members, and community members. The statewide language Arbor produced these Seal of Biliteracy flyers available in 13 different languages. They can be found on the New York State Seal of Biliteracy webpage, as well as on the Toolkit website under Module 3. We encourage schools to ask ELA, ENL, and World Language faculty, as well as school counselors and administrators, to post these in the languages they speak and the languages of their students. Your district may also wish to consider adding the Seal of Biliteracy to its formal course guide or program of studies. Here are some examples of the Seal of Biliteracy included in the program of studies from Gates-Chili High School and Greece Central School District. Doing this will help ensure that students and families are aware that the Seal of Biliteracy is available and will help to provide this information earlier in the student's high school career. Viewers are encouraged to stop the recording and click on the links available to these two documents in the agenda that accompanies this module. Schools should also consider sharing with students and families that language skills are in high demand. The American Council on the Teaching of Foreign Languages, or ACTFL, and its Lead with Languages campaign conducted a survey of 1,200 U.S. employers. The resulting 2019 report, called Making Languages Our Business, Addressing Foreign Language Demand Among U.S. Employers, indicates an urgent and growing demand for language skills in the workplace. According to the Seal of Biliteracy Handbook, schools will create an application form for students to confirm their intention of pursuing the Seal of Biliteracy. The purpose of the application is to formalize the student's commitment to the process and allow for tracking of candidates' progress. An example application is provided as part of the agenda. Schools are encouraged to use this to create their own. Please stop the recording and click on the link for the student application available in the module agenda. Some potential items to include on the student application include the student's name and contact information, the student's L status, any languages other than English that the student speaks, the student's ELA or ESOL teacher's name, the student's world language teacher's name, the world language studied, and the number of years language has been studied, an affirmation of the student's intent to earn the Seal of Biliteracy, and an acknowledgement of responsibilities for students to indicate that they understand the tasks involved in the Seal of Biliteracy process. According to the Seal of Biliteracy Handbook, all SEAL candidates should be assigned an advisor. The advisor's main role is to support the students and to review and track their progress. If the student is completing a culminating project, the advisor is also there to guide the student through that process. An advisor could be a teacher, a counselor, an administrator, a community member, or a school board member. The advisor does not have to be a member of the Seal of Biliteracy Committee. It is important to distinguish the Seal of Biliteracy Committee from the panel of reviewers. The SBC is the group responsible for planning and implementing the seal at the school. The panel of reviewers, on the other hand, is the group of at least 2 adults that evaluate the culminating project and conduct the student interview after the presentation. For the 2-point culminating projects, students should begin planning early on in the school year to ensure they are able to complete the project prior to graduation. Students may create a culminating project that showcases their skills, abilities, and talents in the target language. SBCs have the flexibility to develop their own school-wide projects, or the planning of such projects can be left up to the ELA, ENL, and world language teachers. Examples of culminating projects may include, but are not limited to, research projects, reflective journals, portfolios of artifacts or other evidence, and presentations. The World Language Culminating Project shown here on the right was adapted for current or former L students to demonstrate proficiency in their home languages. Please stop the recording and explore the link on the agenda for this module. In order to streamline the process for both students and adults, we recommend you consider the following strategies for the Culminating project. Student projects can be embedded in regular coursework. Schools may wish to consider if their ELA, ENL, or world language courses already include Culminating projects in which students can demonstrate language proficiency. If students are doing Culminating projects for both English and a world language for a total of 4 points, they must be different projects. Translations of a project into another language do not qualify for the seal. Another recommendation to balance the student and SBC workload is to consider starting and/or completing the Culminating project in the student's strongest language during junior year. For ELs, this would mean the project in their home language, and for never ELs, this would be the project in English. By the same token, students could use their senior year to focus solely on and complete the second language Culminating project. For ELs, this would mean the project in English, and for never ELs, this would be the project in a world language. The vast majority of students complete the points towards the seal in their senior year. For students with high proficiency levels in either language, it is possible for the student to earn and bank the points towards the seal in that language in earlier years, provided the school maintains accurate records. On this slide are 2 examples of Culminating project slides from Rochester Early College International High School. Criterion 2E states that students may earn 2 points towards the seal in a world language by being able to present a Culminating project, scholarly essay, or portfolio that meets the criteria for speaking, listening, reading, and writing established by the district's New York State Seal by Literacy Committee, and that is aligned to the New York State Checkpoint C learning standards to a panel of reviewers with at least intermediate high proficiency in the target language. We are providing here on this slide examples of 2 student presentations, one in French and the other in Chinese. Links to the sample student presentations from Rochester Early College International High School include both the slides and recorded presentations. Please stop the recording and click on the links to explore these presentations. New York State has set the target proficiency level for both English and other world languages at intermediate high based on the American Council on the Teaching of Foreign Languages, or ACTFL, proficiency guidelines. World language teachers should be quite familiar with this document as it represents a national standard within the discipline. Teachers of other disciplines, as well as non-teaching staff on either the Seal of Biliteracy Committee or the panel of reviewers, may need some training on these proficiency levels. Next, we will explore intermediate high proficiency and what it looks and sounds like within the 3 modes of communication. This includes interpretive listening and reading, interpersonal speaking and writing, and presentational speaking and writing. Interpersonal communication is defined as direct oral or written communication between 2 individuals who are in personal contact. An example is 2 people speaking face-to-face, over the phone, or via a video conference. Interpersonal communication involves the productive abilities of speaking and writing and the receptive abilities of listening and reading. Interpersonal communication is evaluated when the panel of reviewers interviews the student in the target language following the presentation. Interpretive communication is mediated oral or written communication that is receptive in nature. An example is a student listening to a podcast or reading an article in a magazine. The student works with visual or recorded materials created by an author with whom the student has no contact. Interpretive communication involves the receptive abilities of listening, reading, and viewing. Presentational communication is defined as one-way oral or written communication for others with whom the student has no immediate personal contact or which takes place in a one-to-many mode. Examples of presentational communication include the oral delivery of a speech or an essay that a student writes. Presentational communication is productive in nature and involves the skills of speaking and writing. Now that we've reviewed the 3 different modes, let's take a look at what each mode looks like at the intermediate high level. The interpretive mode of communication involves listening and reading. At the intermediate high proficiency level for this mode, students can usually follow the main message and story and actions or flows of events expressed in various timeframes in conversations, discussions, and straightforward and sometimes descriptive paragraph-length informational texts. The interpersonal mode of communication deals with the 4 skills of speaking, listening, reading, and writing. At the intermediate high level of proficiency for this mode, students can do the following: exchange information in conversations and some discussions on a variety of familiar and some concrete topics that the student has researched, using connected sentences that may combine to form paragraphs, as well as asking a variety of questions, often across various timeframes. Students can also interact with others to meet their needs in a variety of situations, sometimes involving a complication, using connected sentences that may combine to form paragraphs, and asking a variety of questions, often across various timeframes. Students can also explain preferences, opinions, and emotions, as well as provide advice on a variety of familiar and some concrete topics that they have researched, using connected sentences that may combine to form paragraphs, as well as asking a variety of questions, often across various timeframes. When speaking or writing about familiar or researched topics, students can narrate events, tell stories, state their viewpoint while giving reasons to support it, and give detailed presentations. In so doing, students will speak or write using a few short paragraphs, often across multiple timeframes. Here are some general guidelines to follow when evaluating culminating projects. Students should be evaluated holistically on the 3 modes of communication. Schools may use the sample rubric or provide their own rubric to evaluate student projects. Students should be assessed by a panel of reviewers consisting of 2 or more adults who are qualified speakers of the language of presentation. If the presentation is given in a low incidence language, or if there is only 1 adult speaker of the language in a district, the panel can consist of fewer reviewers. Evaluators should not be related to the student. If schools design their own rubrics to evaluate the culminating project and presentation, they must be submitted to OBEWL by December 1st of each year in which the seal is offered. Rubrics for English must be aligned to the ELA standards and include the ACTFL intermediate high proficiency level for all 3 modes of communication. Rubrics for world languages must be aligned to the New York State standards and also include the ACTFL intermediate high proficiency level for all 3 modes of communication. It is not permitted to use the former Checkpoint B writing test rubric for the seal, as this was not designed for Checkpoint C and does not address all 3 modes of communication. OBEWL has designed a suggested rubric that may be used in full or in part as schools consider how to evaluate the culminating project. Schools are not required to use this rubric, as they can create their own. This suggested rubric can be found on the New York State Seal of Biliteracy website, as well as on the Toolkit website under Module 3. Please stop the recording to review the suggested rubric and any others that may currently be in use in your school to begin to design your own seal rubric. After students create their culminating project, they are required to present it to a panel of reviewers and then to be spontaneously interviewed by that panel, all in the target language. If a student is being evaluated on a portfolio, project, and/or essay, the student will present the work, and then the panel of reviewers will interview the student in the chosen language to measure interpersonal and presentational skills. The SBC can choose to invite members of the community to help with the evaluation process, especially in the case of low incidence languages. The SBC may also consult with its Regional Bilingual Education Resource Network, or ARBRN, to find qualified participants. Schools may wish to develop a list of suggested starting questions for panel reviewers to ask, such as the example provided from East High School, seen on the right. once started, the conversation should be allowed to evolve naturally. Under no circumstances should the student be told which questions will be asked in advance. Module 5 provides more detailed information on the panel presentations. For student presentations in world languages that are taught in the school, it is relatively easy to set up the panel of reviewers, which must consist of at least 2 adult speakers of the language of the presentation. Schools are encouraged to enlist world language teachers of all levels in the panel of reviewers. Panelists who were teachers of the student in earlier years have reported a great sense of pride and satisfaction in seeing how far the student has come since their course. Schools are also encouraged to seek out panelists from their local communities. This can be done by contacting community-based organizations and local colleges and universities that will have faculty that speak a number of languages. NYSSB has produced a guide to community-based organizations for immigrants, shown here on the left, which may be helpful in identifying panel members. Finally, schools are encouraged to contact their local RBERN for assistance in finding speakers of other languages to serve on their panel of reviewers. Here is the suggested format for the student presentations. The student and panelists introduce themselves. The lead panelist reviews the format of the presentation in the interview and explains that once the presentation has started, only the target language will be used. The student presents their culminating project in the target language. The panelists then engage the student in conversation in the target language by asking spontaneous questions. Depending on the number of student presentations, the panel may choose to evaluate each student's performance immediately after the presentation or to take notes and to evaluate all candidates at the end of the session. In either case, the panel should discuss each student's performance and come to consensus on the level of proficiency achieved using the rubric. The completed rubric should be returned to the Seal of Biliteracy Coordinator, who will communicate the results to the students. We have now reached the end of the presentation of Module 3. Let's revisit our objectives for this module. Consider whether the Seal of Biliteracy Committee was able to accomplish all of the can-do statements included here. Please share any additional questions you may have. Further questions can be emailed to candice.black@nyssa.gov. This module series is designed as a practical guide to implement a Seal of Biliteracy program. Each subsequent module picks up where the prior one left off. Whether working within a school or with a consortium of schools, it is recommended that viewers consider completing the following homework assignments in preparation for the next module. Bring your school's program of studies and how you will incorporate the seal into this document next year. Bring your promotion plan and any associated materials such as parent letters. Bring a good draft of your seal student application reviewed by your SBC. And bring a good draft of your culminating project rubric also reviewed by your SBC. For more information on the seal, please contact us at candice.black@nyssa.gov or via phone at 518-473-7505. We can also arrange for a virtual or in-person visit to a school to meet with your Seal of Biliteracy Committee. New York City DOE schools should contact the Division of Multilingual Learners at dml@schools.nyc.gov. The OBEWL New York State Seal of Biliteracy website has a wealth of information on the seal and is easily accessible from the link on this slide or by visiting www.nyssa.gov and typing Seal of Biliteracy into the search bar. Every region of New York is serviced by one of 8 regional bilingual education resource networks, or RBERNs. These organizations can provide local support for a Seal of Biliteracy program. The link for each RBERN is listed below. New York State Language RBERN statewide, Capital District RBERN at Questar 3 BOCES, Hudson Valley RBERN at SW BOCES, Long Island RBERN at Eastern Suffolk BOCES, Mid-State RBERN at OCM BOCES, Midwest RBERN at Monroe 2 Orleans BOCES, New York City RBERN at Fordham University, and RBERN West at Erie 1 BOCES. Thank you for participating in this module. We hope that this has been helpful. Please feel free to send any feedback on this module to the aforementioned email, as we are always looking to improve the end user experience. The members of the New York State SELA Biliteracy Task Force listed on this slide were instrumental in contributing to and reviewing this module series. On behalf of the Office of Bilingual Education and World Languages of the New York State Education Department, the authors would like to thank them for their service.